that the bass is just blaring, and it's like, I get it, this is super intense, but like
Yeah.
it's intense enough without your score.
Right? Like visually it's so intense and I'm totally cool with it in, 90%.
Yeah, same.
But there's just like there is value in silence
Yeah.
sometimes. And I almost feel like he's trying to hit the brown note or like make you shit your pants with how much bass there is.
Yeah. Hey, El Toddo.
What's going on?
We got a podcast, The Buff and the Blazer. If I was a listener, where would I go to find more?
You can check us out on our website, thebuffandtheblazer.com. Drew over there writes a article that goes along with every single episode.
You can find all kinds of little extras on the articles, and you can listen to the podcast right there. Also, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, we're on Twitter at Buff and Blazer. Follow us there.
Get those clicks, people.
The Buff and the Blazer.
Welcome to episode 52 of the Buff and the Blazer podcast, the show where we break down films past and present. I'm Drew, and as always, I'm here with my good pal, Mr. El Toddo.
What's going on, dude?
What's going on, man?
Hotel life.
Yeah,
That's what's going on.
Buff and the Blazer, half of the Buff and the Blazer on the road. Kind of a bummer considering the film that we're reviewing this week. Totally worthy of a 70mm IMAX screen, let alone at least a TV screen, but the film we're talking about this week just got released on digital, and we're talking Christopher Nolan's Tenet. This film, I think, is one of the most anticipated movies I've ever experienced in a while, other than like Star Wars or a Marvel film. And the fact that it just kept being pushed and then finally like released at some point slowly, and then it just kind of fizzled out a little bit, and now it's released to the wide public, but there was a lot of hype behind this one. So let me ask you before we get into kind of like our quick thoughts. Are you familiar with a lot of Christopher Nolan's films?
I don't really know.
Okay.
Rattle off some of his catalog, like Inception, right? I remember that movie.
Inception, Dunkirk,
Oh, Dunkirk, yeah. I like
Interstellar.
both of those. I like that.
Okay. The Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. So,
What about, have you seen Memento?
no.
Okay. That was like one of his earlier films with Guy Pearce.
It's like a break-in movie.
Yeah, that film really got him like some oomph behind getting like the Batman trilogy going. But anyway, so you've seen a fair amount of his films, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a budget warlord, right? This guy's got the biggest budgets in all of Hollywood.
Oh shit, we can talk about that. We'll get into that with this film
Okay.
especially. But all right, so what were your
They
kind of initial
destroyed
thoughts?
the GDP of a small country
Oh,
in this
dude.
movie.
Yeah, he's his own like industry.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts after watching Tenet for the first time?
I really enjoyed it. I can see why Senor Nolan wanted to hold it to kind of wait out the pandemic because, if I had made anything close to this good in my life, I definitely would have want to sell it short, right? It's like a total cinematic kind of big screen masterpiece, right? It's totally made for the big screen. And I had a bit of a different experience watching this. I watched it on a laptop with headphones on and my face like right up on the screen to try and mimic that big screen feel.
It's like a budget budget
Yeah,
IMAX.
budget IMAX, right? I need like some cardboard to like, block all my peripherals. But the headphones did help quite a bit, and his music or his scores are so intense that the headphones really kind of gave it at least the hint of that, theater feel.
Yeah.
But as a movie, it was like tremendously confusing in a pretty good way. right? Like it was not your classic storytelling, I think. It was extremely complex, and I'm not really sure that I'm smart enough to follow plot entirely, especially all the time stuff. And I'm not really sure if that was the intention for people to get it, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that came out of the movie and enjoyed it just like I did, but aren't really certain if they totally got it. And I got like kind of like the gist of it, but I bet there's like physics kids out there that are just like, oh, this is all wrong and blah blah blah, like all the time stuff. But I really enjoyed it. There were a couple things that I not didn't like, but that I'm gonna dock a little bit of points for. But we'll get to those when we get to them. What about you?
Okay, so I agree with you on a lot of that, and the way you phrased a lot of that was exactly how I was going to say it. After it ended, I was like, I don't know if I'm just too dumb to understand what I just watched, or if I wasn't paying attention. So I'll say I enjoyed it on a percentage level. I enjoyed like 90% of this movie. My 10% gripe with it is that I feel like Christopher Nolan is getting to this point now where his plots and his stories have become like a bit pretentious.
Okay.
But
Unpack that a little bit. Why?
yeah, like when I sit down and watch a film, I can be moved by a very simple storyline, or I can sit down and really enjoy a complex storyline. With a film like this, after I saw it, I was at a point where I knew I didn't understand completely what went on, and it was so confusing that I was like, okay, I really don't give a shit. It's like, and
Yeah.
for a film, you should give a shit about the story, like trying to understand some sense of it. But that makes me also wonder if that maybe isn't his intention. And there's a line in the film where I think one of the characters, she's like a scientist. She's trying to explain how the physics of entropy, like reversing an object's entropy, work to like the main character who doesn't have a
Protagonist.
yeah, protagonist, that's his name, by John David Washington. Well, anyway, she goes like, don't try to understand, just feel it. And I guess that's the best way to describe what this film did for me. Is I didn't understand a whole lot of it, but I guess it did make me feel something at the end where I was like, that was really impressive. And it felt huge, and it felt way smarter than I'm able to comprehend. And I'll just give it to him that he probably is telling a decent story, even though I don't know what the fuck he was trying to do.
It's almost like creativity flexing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to make this so far away from things you're normally used to in the movie world.
Yeah.
That you're not even going to get it, but you're still going to enjoy the movie.
Yeah. And so that's why for me, I still enjoyed it quite a bit, because it just hits every major cinematic element so well, like all levels, from acting
I'd
to
say
production.
it smashes every level.
Yeah, it blows it away. It's
hits with a giant mallet every single one.
And he's in a point now where he's so comfortable with a style that's completely his own. And I'll watch anything this guy produces, like from here on out. I mean, even before, all his films. And you can tell that this film in particular is almost like a mixture of everything that he's done up to this point almost.
Okay.
And we can talk a little bit about that too. But overall, I was really impressed with it, even though I felt like maybe I was getting dicked around a little bit because he was like teasing me on how stupid I am. So
Well, it's one of those things too where it's like it's dealing with the almost supernatural, but it's grounded in physics and reality.
yeah,
But he's certainly taking liberties with all of that.
sure, yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
It's like
man.
it's
I thought it
based
was
in a
extremely
physics.
original in
Yeah,
terms of the structure.
right. Well, I think it's safe to say we're going to avoid spoilers in this one.
Yeah, I'm not even sure we can spoil it.
Even if we did
Right?
try to spoil it, no one would care because they wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, somebody would be like, "Yeah, that's not at all what happened."
Yeah. So there
You're
was this
following
point where they
the
went back to the
backwards
past, and
protagonist, not the forwards one.
yeah, and he met his grandpa and kicked him in the knee, and no. All right, so maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah, we'll hold back a bit in terms of giving away,
Yeah.
just running through the movie. But yeah, I think it's kind of hard to spoil.
Yeah, for sure. Let me start off with an observation. Not so much like the story, but an observation on how the story was pieced together. I felt like it had a very clear cadence, like in the sense that you'd start off here and then the story would just pick up and then boom, you're constantly moving, going from this country to that country to this moment to this scene. And it was all very like, almost like it had a pulse.
Okay.
And I noticed that. And one thing that he's always commented on is that he's always wanted to direct a Bond movie. And something about this film felt really in that vein of like a James Bond film. You do have like the spy element going for it, but also like some of the locations he's shooting in, it has a very inspired background with all of the past Bond films. I don't know, did you pick up on anything like that?
Well, I'm not a huge Bond guy, so I didn't really relate any of that to it. But I get what you're saying about the cadence. And it has like this rhythm that is almost cyclical.
Yeah.
And the story is cyclical as well. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just really creative, I think. When I saw that he was the writer as well, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, because there's no way a director could pick up a movie this complex and then make it come across as complex as it might have been on the page unless they wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a pretty talented writer, I'd have to say. And like
So did he write those other movies that we rattled off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And his brother's a good writer too, Jonathan Nolan. Like they both hammered out that Dark Knight script, and it's considered like the gem in the superhero genre. But yeah, they're really talented writers. And like I could just imagine what it would be like for an actor to pick up one of his scripts and try to wrap their heads around what the hell's going on. And I mean, I'm sure it's easy just to say yes because it has Christopher Nolan's name on it. But I was thinking about that, and I'm like, I wonder what John David Washington thought going through the script. And I know Robert Pattinson was saying he just breezed through the script because he said if he had stopped and tried to actually like really rack his brain around what it was about, he wouldn't have finished it. Like he would have been uninterested.
it's like comprehending space, right? You spend too much time on it, you're just gonna go crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Is he directing? This is kind of off topic, but is he directing the new Batmans?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he's not directing. He's pretty much done in the Batman superhero universe, at least to my knowledge.
And just doing his own thing now.
Yeah, because at that time he was kind of doing more independent films, smaller budgets, and that's when he kind of broke into the blockbuster game with the Batman trilogy. But now he's like solidly in blockbuster territory.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is probably the biggest movie I've seen this year, right? Or since we've done the podcast. I would say this is bigger than 1917. That's the only,
I think 1917 is the only one that comes close.
And then Dunkirk, which is another one of his movies.
Yeah.
And we didn't review that, but
right. And then I guess the second observation I'd make is obviously he's very interested in the element of time. So a lot of his films have to do with playing with the idea of time and weaving that into a story. So like I felt like you got bits of Interstellar in here. I felt like you got bits of Inception in here. And then even Memento, because Memento is a story about a crime that's committed, but piecing it backwards.
okay.
So moving backwards. So he's really fascinated with this element of time. And I felt like this film was really like his master statement on this is what I've learned, and this is the culmination of all my films compiled into this one thing. And good luck trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a hard flex.
Yeah.
It's really like It's kind of like this is a stupid analogy, but the GM of the Golden State Warriors a few years back when they were just dominating the NBA said they were like light years ahead of everyone else in terms of their analytics and the style of play they were executing
Yeah.
and their talent, right? And that's kind of how I feel with this movie. It's like substantially more robust from a movie making standpoint than anything I've seen in quite a while.
Yeah. This is almost like what a modern day epic film is. It's like when you think of classic epics like Lawrence of Arabia and those huge scaled films. This is a callback to those because he likes to shoot mainly practical. He hates CGI. He'll like use it as a last resort if he needs to. He's all about shooting things and capturing them on the frame in real time. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate like his form of storytelling, because he really harkens back to an era that's kind of been, bygone
Okay.
for a long time.
Well, then I got some questions for you when it comes to the cinematography part,
Okay, cool.
because it's there's not a lot of CG, I guess, but
Yeah.
whatever they were doing is crazy. But I'll wait for that stuff.
So would we even dare to try and like give a very general summary of like the key element of this movie, which is this idea of like reversing an object's entropy?
Yeah, I guess.
And I don't even really know what that means.
I don't either.
Basically, it's like an object is moving from point A to B in time, and they essentially found a way to reverse that. So instead of going from point A to point B, it can go from point B to point A.
Yeah. I'm not certain if the plutonium was the element in figuring that out or not.
Yeah,
Or
so
if that was like a nuclear bomb element of the story. I don't really know.
yeah, so from what I understood, because I watched a few videos like with interviews and stuff, and
With like theoretical physicists
yeah,
breaking down the movie.
Neil deGrasse
Okay, that's
Tyson
cool.
and shit.
Oh, cool.
No. He
Oh,
he
you're
actually
joking.
did a lot of interviews for Interstellar, and he was saying that the science behind Interstellar was actually very close to like theoretically possible.
Oh, cool.
So I guess the idea is the plutonium, like the radiation, there are particles within those elements that I don't know if it's theoretically or practically can travel faster than the speed of light. And so that's where they get the idea of having that nuclear material be the catalyst for reversing an object's point in time,
Oh,
which is why they have to wear the glove to protect them from the radiation, I guess, when they're handling
okay.
it.
Yeah.
That's like my very general understanding of it.
Okay.
But like I said, having known that, it doesn't really do a whole lot for you, like in terms of your enjoyment of the film, because it's like it's what the whole film's based around, but it's almost like it's not important.
Yeah, I just thought of an analogy. So my favorite movie ever is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And that
great
movie
one.
makes sense basically up until a point, right?
Yeah.
Once they leave I think it's the Mint, and then they check into the Tropicana. Is that what it is? Either
Yeah.
way, everything goes fucking haywire after he does the adrenochrome drug, and like the entire end of the movie doesn't make any sense at all from a like a logical or point A to point B. This. None of it makes any sense at the end, but I don't even care.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of how I feel about this movie too.
Same.
It made me feel fairly stupid, but I was so entertained that I didn't really care.
Yeah, for sure. For you,
But, okay, back to your original question. Can we give away the plot? Basically, John David Washington's character, protagonist, is trying to save the world from reverse Big Banging, right?
yeah.
Am I even close? Am I
I don't
even
know.
close with that?
I'll just
It's
say
like,
yes.
Okay, like
'Cause I don't have a
basically
better
trying to
answer.
end yeah, trying to figure out how to stop the end of the world from a Russian billionaire who's figured out this time reversal shit.
In the future.
Kind of.
Okay, so my
In
understanding
the future and the present.
yeah,
and
see,
the
that's where I'm
past.
confused. Because I felt
It's
like,
all three.
is it really?
It's all three, dude. It has to be.
Okay, because my understanding, listening to them talk about it, is there's this guy in the future, a scientist, who figured out how to do this, and the antagonist in the film, Kenneth Branagh plays, he's just the middleman, like the arms dealer for that guy to have his shit like come into our present.
Okay.
So we don't actually ever get to see this person from the future.
Yeah, that's not the way I took it.
Okay,
At
well,
all.
Regardless,
Maybe I'm way off.
So the general idea then, I guess, is that this whoever in the future, that generation, like their environment, their climate is so jacked up that they want to go back and destroy our present because we're essentially the ones who caused such a shitty future. And that plays like an element into that, like, what do they call it? The grandparent paradox, where like if you go back and you were to kill your grandfather or grandparent, would that essentially wipe away your existence?
Yeah, because then you wouldn't have ever been born.
Right. It's kind of like the Back to the Future thing. So,
see, but I was under the impression that Sator was the guy in the future.
huh. Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, you could be just as right. So
because it's all linked. It's all linked to him, right?
Yeah.
And then the whole algorithm stuff, I didn't get any of that.
That's another little thing where they mentioned an algorithm, and I'm like, okay, how did that get there? What the hell's the algorithm?
Yeah, at one point they're just talking about it like it's been explained in the movie the whole time, and it just pops up out of nowhere, like hour 2.
It's like,
hour
obviously
2 and a
it's the
half or
algorithm,
something.
and it's going to influence the whole third act of the film, but you already know this. And I'm like, no, I don't know shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know what else to say about like just beat for beat story plot. Let me ask you this though. I guess we could discuss favorite moment in the film. For you, what was one of your favorite moments in the film?
So my favorite moment in the film occurs twice.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
When I still don't know what they were trying to achieve, but when they break into the airport art gallery storage facility, and then it comes back later in the movie, that's my favorite part, and particularly the second one, because I enjoyed the first fight scene, where I can't say it. I really enjoyed the first fight scene, and when it happens again, I enjoyed it even more.
Let me ask you this: did you expect that?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
I can honestly say, this
like
is the
I
first
did
time.
once, like once they okay, I'll say this: when it happened the first time, that was like so far gone from anything I was expecting. Where the movie to go, and then when they go back, it's like, oh, obviously, yes, I get it now. Long before they get there. But I still enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, for sure. I have to say that was one of the moments where I legitimately was like, I bet I know what they're going to do with this. And then they did it. And I'm like, that's because it's Christopher Nolan. He does this shit. So I was like, I was almost kind of expecting it.
Because you know something's up, right?
Yeah.
You know something's up when Neil rips off the helmet.
Yeah.
And then just runs.
Right. Yeah, so it was...
But there was 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy, too. Like, I still don't even understand how that is. Like, I thought there was the present and the future or the past guy. There was 2 of them. So how was there 2 of them in the present, both in the suits, right?
Yeah.
Because, and this is probably super confusing for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, but it's just as confusing when you see it. So, like, he's fighting someone, and then the other guy that Neil's chasing is also that same someone, right?
Yeah.
That I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's
What about you? What was your favorite?
my favorite was the whole third act, the major like engagement at the end.
Okay. Yeah,
Like that
that would probably be
huge
my
thing.
second favorite.
Yeah, it was huge. I love it when you take a mass of people, like real life people, and put them on screen and just have them doing a bunch of action. It's so entertaining to me. And I liked how you have like the red team and the blue team and how they're
Moving
moving in opposite
directions in time
right. That
at the
was
same
so
time.
cool. Yep. Really
On the
cool.
screen at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. It's so impressive.
Yeah, like, and I don't even know where you start with shooting something like that. It's bonkers.
That's what I was. That's exactly the part I was thinking about asking you when we get to cinematography.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and then I guess in terms of the ending, just like general thoughts on the ending or how the story resolves itself. Can we?
Does it resolve itself?
No.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's one of those. I guess you could interpret it as open-ended.
As open-ended because the major kind of driving force of the movie gets flipped on its head.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the scene you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff never gets paid off.
Yeah.
It just gets presented at the end.
Right.
And I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got a question for you. With the way it ended, could you see them making another one? Or he doesn't really do that, huh?
He doesn't do that. The only films that he's ever done that for was the Dark Knight films.
Yeah, for Batman.
But you could. I think you could. Just like Inception, you could.
I need to watch Inception again.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since basically it came out.
Okay, yeah.
That one hurt my brain too.
It's not as open-ended as that film, I think. But yeah, I thought it was satisfying at least. You get somewhat of a resolution.
Definitely, there was definite closure there for me.
Yeah.
Even though it's open-ended.
For sure. Well, I think we did a pretty good job of keeping that vague. Not that watching the film is going to make it any clearer, but let's get into some of the acting.
Hold on,
here.
before we move on.
Oh, okay.
I want to drill into something because
Yeah.
you said there's a guy in the future, and this is the paradox issue.
Yeah.
If the guy in the future gets his wish, he won't be there, right?
Like wiping out all of his...
Wiping out everything.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, though. When they're explaining...
Reverse big banging the world, he won't be there in the future. There won't be a world in the future if that's his ultimate goal.
Yeah, and I guess so, but see, the way they explain that whole paradox thing is, didn't they just kind of explain it like, we're not sure if that's what would happen. We just don't know.
Yeah, there's so much of that in the movie, too.
Yeah. How he was saying, like theoretically, if you were to go back in time and kill your grandparents and, you know, on paper, like, yeah, that could mean you wipe yourself out, but we don't know.
Yeah, because that's why I kind of assumed that Sator was the guy in the future.
Yeah.
And because he has a malicious reason for wanting to end the world.
Yeah.
Not really what seems like a more benevolent reason from the person that you're interpreting.
Yeah.
But who fucking knows?
I sure don't.
Thoroughly confused if that was the goal. But that's
right.
good, right? You want movies to make you think.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to understand every little detail of a movie. I think...
Oh, no. Well, I certainly didn't understand most of the details of this movie.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. And
Same.
with messaging, is there a message to you? Because I didn't think there's any sort of, subtext moral message at all.
Not really. What was that line? They kept driving home, like, the past is the past, or something like that. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
It's already happened.
it's already happened. Yeah. Like, sure, that's the message. That's a good one.
I guess.
And, like, don't screw up your present, I guess.
The message is Nolan's freaking flexing. That's the message.
Yeah. It's like, I'm a big, smart filmmaker.
Yeah.
That's
The
the
biggest and the smartest.
Yeah. Gonna flop it on the table for you. All right, let's talk about some of the talent in this movie.
All right.
Let's start with the obvious, the protagonist, John David Washington. This dude is like, to me, he was super charming, like in this role. And again, I go back to my James Bond comment. Like, he's playing the total James Bond type in this movie almost. He's super cool, like cool under pressure. He's smart. He has his swagger. Like, I don't know, he's just a really likable character in this movie. And the way, really believable.
Yeah, because he's confused too.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy him in everything I've seen him in so far, like Ballers on HBO, and then Black Klansman.
He's really good in Black Klansman.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
And he's extremely believable as the character that he plays in this movie. And what I mean by that is, like, he's not he's playing catch up the whole time from a comprehension standpoint.
Yeah.
And you're kind of playing that with him.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's also like this super slick talking, super competent badass who's like ex special forces or something.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what in the beginning of the movie, the opening scene, I don't even know who he's working for, because he's with like the Russian secret police or something, right?
I thought he was like attached to CIA. I don't remember.
But all those dudes he rolls in with in the beginning are all Russian dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Where is that in Ukraine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you know he was a pro football player for a short period of time?
Really?
Yeah, he was with the Rams. I guess
the LA Rams or the St. Louis Rams?
St. Louis
Must
Rams.
have been St. Louis, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was like undrafted in 2006, and then I guess they cut him and then re-signed him 3 days later to the practice squad.
Mm.
But yeah, he was a Ram for a little bit.
Well, I'll just go out on a limb and say he is the best acting NFL player ever. Or the best NFL player actor ever.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Neil.
I'm liking this Robert Pattinson guy more and more.
Mm-hmm.
He's
yeah,
good.
He spent years trying to shake the Twilight baggage that he had. And I think he's come around.
Fairly young with those, right?
Yeah, he was.
Like
a
early 20s.
teeny bop heartthrob.
Yeah.
But the dude is just like, he's so come into this comfort zone, and he really has a mastery over his performances. So he's our new Batman.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of excited for that.
Yeah, me too. And that one's supposed to be super dark.
Good.
So we'll see. But I really enjoyed his character in this film. He was kind of like, he kicked ass too, and he did all the like secret stuff that the protagonist does, but he has more of a like a gentleman aspect to him, like a little more measured person in the film.
Yeah, and he has like a better grasp on the whole situation.
Yeah.
Than basically everybody else besides the one badass guy at the end.
Right.
Who I can't remember his name, but I really liked his character too.
Yeah, he was really good. What did you think of Elizabeth Debicki, the actress who played Kat?
So she's very tall.
Yeah, I noticed that immediately.
But I liked her a lot. She probably had the heaviest kind of emotional baggage to carry throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked her arc because it was fairly complex.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Neil and protagonist had pretty crazy arcs by any means, right? They're almost like steady as she goes.
Right.
Type of characters. She has this really kind of big down and up kind of arc.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed her a lot. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything before.
Yeah, I think she's fairly new, and she just made an appearance as Princess Diana in the Netflix show The Crown.
Okay.
And I think it was largely because of the work she was doing in this movie. But yeah, she did a great job. And she does have some pretty difficult dramatic scenes.
Yeah. Do you think they cast her strictly because of how long her legs were for the one scene in the car?
Maybe. I doubt it though.
No,
I don't think so. But if they did, I mean, wow,
because
they lucked out with a
I
good
mean that's
actress.
like the most glaring thing that jumps off the screen with her. It's like, holy shit, is she like 6'5"? Like how tall is she?
Yeah, she's looks like she's 6'2 3/4.
Oh, that's huge, man.
And she
But
wears stilettos in this movie.
yeah, that scene, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about, right?
I
When the
know
car's
exactly what you're
flying
talking
in
about.
reverse.
Yep.
Like, there's no way you could get like a 5'6" chick to pull that scene off
Yeah, I don't think so.
with the heel.
With the heels, yeah.
I really liked her. I want to see more of her. She was completely believable.
Yeah,
And
same.
yeah,
And then
great
we have to
job.
mention our antagonist, Kenneth
Yes.
Branagh.
Yes.
He plays Sator. And you were like, this is how good his performance was. You were like, yeah, did they not list him because he's Russian and they have a
Yeah,
thing against
totally.
Russians?
I was looking through the list, and I was like, where is this guy? Like, did they just not even put him on the list?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember in Dunkirk, he played the like the admiral or the commander on the shore, like waiting on the dock for the
Okay.
ships to show up.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But no,
Yeah, I
total
see the
English
picture.
actor and director to boot.
He's really good. I'll say this. I completely bought him as a character with the whole acting aspect,
Yeah.
but I'm not necessarily sure that I liked him. Not him, the actor, but I'm not sure I liked the character a bunch as the villain. I felt
Oh,
like it was almost a little too cliche.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah. A little
Does
too
that make
mustache
sense?
twirly. Like,
Yeah, like too much of like the Russian Bond villain
gotcha.
guy.
No, I
With
could totally
with
agree with you there.
okay, with how creative the movie is,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like, come on, you could have spiced up the villain's motivations a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think you mentioning the Bond villain thing, I think this is Christopher Nolan's best chance at getting into a Bond movie without being able to direct one straight out. Like, it lets him play with his fascination with time, but also wrap it in sort of a spy genre and get elements of the Bond movie thing going with the villain and the spy. So it all kind of makes sense, really, when you look at it
Did
that way.
you buy him, or did you not him, the actor, but did you buy the character and his
No, I felt the same way.
motivation?
I felt like he was almost kind of like too. He came across as a little overly sinister at times.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. Michael Caine's in this film, like his Christopher Nolan's
Briefly.
usual roundup of actors. And very briefly as Crosby. It was cool to see him. He wasn't on screen very long. I really liked Dimple Kapadia, who played Priya.
Okay.
She's the what is it? The arms? Well, is she an arms dealer or a manufacturer? But
I'm not
anyways,
even really sure.
yeah, she was like, she just had a presence that was really big in the film. Like every time she was on camera, all the weight shifted to her side, and she has this kind of presence to her, and that was really cool.
I really liked Mahir Hamish Patel.
Okay,
I really liked his character,
yeah,
and I was happy that he made a recurrence, or a resurfacing at the end of the movie.
yeah, me too. I'm trying to think what I remember him from. Oh yeah. He was in Yesterday. Yeah. Anyone else that we missed?
I'm looking through the cast list here. I'm trying to figure out who the military commander was leading the blue team at the end.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one, but I really liked him a lot.
The guy who was part of Splinter Group at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's hard to tell.
I don't know which one he was.
Me either.
All these, he doesn't ever have a name. Almost nobody in the movie has a name.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird, huh?
Yeah, but I liked it. and there wasn't one person that I didn't buy in the role.
Yeah, it's really well cast, this film.
The only problem I had was with one of the characters and their motivations and how they seemed a little cliche
Yeah, I could see that totally.
with Sator.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Who played the monster Russian?
Oh, Volkov?
Is that who it was?
Yeah.
That's him.
This guy does seem Russian. Yuri Kolokolnikov?
He's
Yuri
huge.
Kolokolnikov.
Kolokolenkov. Yeah, I liked him a lot. He was like, okay, so I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite because he's super cliche too.
Yeah, he's like Jaws.
In terms of like the Russian goon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed his character a lot. Even I don't even think he has one line in the movie. I'm not sure if he has even one line.
I think he does, but it's like...
Oh, he might have said he was in the window. That might be his only line. You know what I'm talking about on the yacht?
Yeah, or like something like, Mr. Sator wants to see you.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah, that's pretty like James Bondy right there. Yeah, everyone was really well cast. Really nice cast in this movie, I think. I mean, you have any last things you wanted to say about this before we move into, I think, one of the more interesting parts of this film?
No, it's banger from the cast and the acting standpoint. I bought everybody in their
Sweet.
role. There wasn't anybody that I was like, oh, that doesn't work.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, let's dig into the way this film is put together. Talk a little bit about cinematography, some of the effects, but let's start with cinematography.
Yeah, why don't you give your spiel, because I wanna ask you some things.
Okay, so in terms of strictly camera work and shots, honestly, I thought that the film didn't have that many uber complex shots in terms of like camera moves. What I did like, though, was I loved Christopher Nolan has a very particular look now. And it's like all of his colors are very, very deep and dark and rich. And you get that throughout the whole film. I loved what was being shot on camera. So I loved all the location shooting. That's where I got that real Bond vibe, was everything that was caught on camera. And the other really complex part, which we kind of touched on a bit, was being able to edit. And I guess this also touches on special effects, but how do you shoot people going one way across time and the other going backwards and having them in the same frame with 50 plus different actors?
Yeah. That's
like,
what
how
I
do you
wanted to
manage
ask
that?
you. That's what I wanted to ask you, man.
Like, the only thing I could think of is you shoot one group first by themselves, and then you shoot the second group by themselves, and you reverse, and then you kind of splice together through special effects. I mean, it seems like it might be a pretty simple, but like the way you shoot that and how you make it line up on the frame to look like it was all in one shot, that seems just really difficult.
Yeah, and they did a really good job of making it look realistic.
Yeah.
Like the fight scene that I really enjoyed in the art gallery storeroom.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one guy was fighting backwards and the other guy was fighting forwards.
Right.
It was almost a mixture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like they were almost, one was trying to fight backwards and the other one was fighting forwards.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working for either side.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was like this weird time struggle
Yeah.
thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that they filmed the fight scene from two different angles because they show it twice.
Yeah.
And it seemed pretty consistent with the first one.
Right.
Because the first one you can tell like what the hell's going on? Like what? This is like really strange, right? And then when it comes back, you get the reverse perspective on it. It's still strange.
Yeah.
Because the other guy in time is going forward, but you're with the reverse perspective guy.
Yeah.
Is just so impressive, man.
Yeah, like it's not that like they shot it and then just reversed it.
No, not. It's not like that at all.
It's not that. One person is literally moving backwards while the other one is fighting real time, like forwards in action, I guess.
Yeah.
And having that come together, I have no idea. I didn't have a chance to dive into bonus features before we recorded today, but I'm definitely going to go back.
And like, did you notice just even the little things, like when he's running with Kat on the tarmac, when she's on the bed, right? The wheelie bed. What do
Yeah.
they call those?
Mm-hmm. The gurney.
ET bed. Gurney, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Did you notice like how strange he was running?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's like he's moving forward in reverse. But
Yeah,
it's
I know.
absolutely not like he just filmed it and then ran it backwards. It's not like that at all.
No.
It's something different.
It's really weird.
It's so cool. It was so trippy and I loved it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely loved that whole aspect.
Okay, and then throw away all of the reverse time stuff. Even just the stuff happening from point A to B in normal physical time. They crash a fucking 747 into an art gallery, like into a storage facility. And
they really
I'm telling you,
did.
that's not CG.
Oh, I know. I could tell.
He said that they went out and bought a 747 just for that.
So cool. So cool.
And yeah, that's the kind of quality you're going to get from a Christopher Nolan movie.
I mean, that one scene probably cost more money than I'll even sniff making 10% of in my entire
Oh, dude,
life.
get this, though. So the interesting thing he said was they were weighing what it would cost to crash a 747 completely CG and to do a miniature model and scale it. And they said it actually came out cheaper to just buy the 747 and shoot it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's astonishing.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I'm like trying to wrap my head around that.
Yep. So that's what he was saying. And I'm like, okay, wow.
Okay, so take that aspect of it and then take the aspect of how did they film all the reverse and the forward stuff while that plane is sitting there on fire?
Yeah, because they only have one, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like some of the stuff that I did think was CG was like at the crazy Siberian bunker.
And I think what he
when
said
they
too
were
was
like-
the engines, like on the 747, were probably CG. He said those were the most expensive part of the plane, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think he said that they sold those to get some
They
money back.
pawned those.
So I'm sure like the engine stuff in the fire was like CG. But other than that, I mean, that's a real 747 that they're crashing.
And like some of the stuff that I thought was totally CG'd was like the reverse buildings blowing up at the
Yeah.
bunker at the end.
Oh yeah.
But they're also like reverse blowing up, but then blowing up too.
Yeah.
So like there's this weird mix of things happening in both directions time wise at the same time. Did you notice that one blue soldier that gets like sucked into the explosion
Yeah.
in reverse? Like it's so fucking cool.
Yeah. Crazy.
So cool.
Yeah.
Where do you think they filmed that? That last kind of
I don't know.
epic scene
It's
or
weird.
epic sequence?
I mean, I would assume all that stuff is built up too. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because the landscape of that looked quite real.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know
did.
if it was or not.
Yeah, no idea. So yeah, I think most of the practical effects in this film are, well, just that, they're practical. Another cool thing I have to mention is John David Washington is like terribly afraid of heights, and
Oh, really?
Christopher Nolan shot him up a bungee on the side of that building. That's him.
Oh, I totally forgot about that scene.
Yeah, that's him and Robert Pattinson. And when they jump down, that's them.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that scene.
Yep.
In Mumbai, right?
Yep. That's all them.
That was so cool.
So that just shows you like the quality in this film, like the performances and everything you get. You definitely get your money's worth in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, $20? You
Yeah.
kidding me?
Right. With all the
Mulan
money they
was
spent.
fucking $30.
Yeah, to make it. Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get a 70 millimeter IMAX experience with this movie.
Do you think so? He released it in other countries, right?
Yeah.
and then probably released it in markets in the U.S. that had theaters open.
Yep.
Do you think in the major markets like where we are, when stuff opens back up, that they'll release it in IMAX?
I could see them re-releasing this film.
Because I will go see it in a second.
They've already they've re-released like some of his Batman films. I don't
Oh,
see why
really?
they wouldn't re-release this one, especially considering like how shoddy the initial release was. But yeah, I would totally go back and watch it on the big screen.
Yeah, I would. Sure.
Yeah, definitely. Any other points you wanted to hit on kind of the movie making? I'm trying to remember if there was anything else interesting that I heard about.
Yeah, there was some stuff that I really enjoyed, like the ocean windmills
Oh, yeah.
with the boats
Yeah, that was cool.
and the helicopter shooting.
Right.
And then wherever the hell the yacht scenes are,
Yeah.
good God, that looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is. It's got to be like on
Well, in the film, they're off
somewhere
the
in the
coast of Greece, right?
Mediterranean, right?
Yeah, I think they're off the coast of Greece. At least
Okay.
in the film. So I would assume that they actually went to Greece.
Yeah, it looked so beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
I need to see that shit before I die.
That's that Bondy element, going to these
Yeah.
exotic locations. And then I guess our last topic to hit on is the score. And I think you
Okay.
can have something to speak about with this because you said you were listening on headphones with the bass turned up, right?
Yeah, and I enjoyed a lot of it. However, I think it was a bit too much.
Yeah, like a bit too big.
Not really the size, but the quantity.
Oh, okay.
So it's like just take the foot off the gas a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, like there's value in silence sometimes. And
Yeah.
I've been that's one of my biggest things with these movies. All of like I enjoyed how it all sounded, and I liked like the electronic and the big feel it gives everything.
Yeah.
But it's okay to have like some scenes not with like booming score in the background that are like shaking the entire
Yeah.
room, you know?
Yeah,
That's my
so
own thing. Just, less is more a little bit. If you're gonna go that big on the big scenes, you can dial it back a bit
yeah.
in some of the more slower scenes.
So yeah, this film was composed by Ludwig Göransson, and he's an Emmy winner for the score that he did on The Mandalorian. So usually Christopher Nolan will have Hans Zimmer score his movies, and Hans Zimmer's all about like bumping the bass and getting the electronic sounds going. So Göransson was really, I think, inspired by that and kept that alive. But like you, I think at times it was just so in your face that it almost, for me anyway, it was so noticeable that it took me out at times. Like it's just the bass is just blaring, and it's like I get it, this is super intense, but like
Yeah.
it's intense enough without your score.
Right? Like visually it's so intense, and I'm totally cool with it in, 90%.
Yeah, same.
But there's just like there is value in silence sometimes. And I almost feel like he's trying to hit the brown note or like make you shit your pants with how much bass there is.
Yeah.
I went to a Snoop Dogg concert one time.
Oh, he hit the brown note?
He did. And it was the Puff Puff Pass tour in LA, and this was like a few days after cannabis got legalized in California.
Yeah.
And it was a great show. There was a crazy lineup, but Snoop came out and did his whole thing, and he's got a song called like "I'm a Motherfucking Legend" or something, or "You're Talking to a Motherfucking Legend,"
Yeah.
something like that. And the bass was so goddamn loud, and I was so high because this was like 5 hours into the show that I thought I shit my pants. I literally got up and went to the bathroom and checked my fucking pants because I thought he had hit the brown note from South Park.
The brown note. I love that.
And I feel like that's what Nolan was going for
Yeah.
on this one. You imagine this in an IMAX? Like you could certainly
yeah.
feel like you shit your pants with the bass that loud.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, that would have been so impressive, though. Oh, it's a bummer. All right.
Yeah, it's a bummer. That's probably, I know, from a movie perspective, this is the most disappointed impact of the pandemic on the movie perspective. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to downplay all the fucking people who are dead and shit, but just strictly movies, like I would have liked to see this movie in the theaters more than any other movie we've done.
Yeah, totally fair. Agreed. Well, we've reached the point of our show where we can talk about the things we liked and the things we loved and the things we didn't like.
All right, you go first this time.
All right. I will say that I loved the quality of this film. And it's everywhere. It's in the acting, it's in the performances, it's in the direction, it's in the stunt sequences, it's in the special effects. Just top to bottom, you see how much time and effort was put into this. I mean, these are the kind of films I think that make film and movies works of art.
Mm-hmm.
When they're so well done and you have so many like master craftsmen working on a film together. And when you get a result like this is what people look for when they go to the movies, like to be entertained and just kind of be blown off their seat.
Yeah.
And you're definitely going to get that experience with this film. And that's what I loved about this film, even as general as that is. You got to love Nolan and the style and the way he goes about making a movie, which is why I'll watch anything he brings out. And what I hated, like I said, it's not so much a hate. It's just kind of like, I wish I understood the plot of this film.
Okay.
And I don't.
Yeah.
And like, it'll probably knock down the film half a point for me. But other than that, it's like, I guess I'm just upset at the fact that I'm not smart enough to comprehend what I just saw.
Okay. Okay.
What about you?
So what I love the most is the complexity of the storytelling.
Yeah.
I think I really like the onion of Christopher Nolan to just say, I'm going to make the most complex storyline that almost nobody's going to understand it, and you're still going to love this movie. That's what I really liked about it the most. We see so many movies that are the exact same fucking story.
Yeah.
And I loved all the I loved the explosions, and I loved the crazy time stuff, but truly the thing I loved the most was how complex the story was and how he's not concerned at all with spoon feeding shit to anybody. Right?
Definitely.
That's what I love the most. And I don't have a hate of anything in the movie. I'm most bummed that I didn't get to see it in an IMAX.
Gotcha, yeah.
That's my only kind of drawback.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I want to hear your score for this film.
All right. So, it's definitely getting a umami point.
Okay.
It's definitely getting a casting acting point. I'm going to dock a quarter of a point for score just because it was a little too much.
Uh-huh.
I'm definitely giving a point for story and the one other cinematography. Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm going to dock a quarter of a point because I feel like the villain, for how complex the rest of the story is, you could have made the villain a little bit less cliche.
Gotcha.
So I'm giving it 4.5 bong loads. Solid.
Yeah.
From a feel standpoint, it's like a 10, right?
Yeah.
Like I was so stoked on this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But to be objective, I got to dock a quarter of a point for score and a quarter of a point for the villain and his motivation and his kind of clichéness.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm giving it the same score. It hit everywhere for me. It hit on character. It hit on cinematography. It hit on even score. Like, while at times I felt it was in my face, I felt like it enhanced the movie. And like I said, my one gripe with it is, and this is more probably a comment on myself, but I felt like the story was so complex that I really wished I would have gotten more out of it. And I really liked it, so I really enjoyed it. So I'll dock it off half a point for my gripe, but other than that, I mean, This is filmmaking at its best. And I think, is it safe to say that this is like a solidly recommended film from us?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
For $20,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, knowing after watching the movie, I would have gladly paid 50 to watch it.
Yeah.
Like in a theater,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have paid $50.
Yeah.
It was damn good. It was like what you're saying, like the pinnacle, right? This is like the high water mark for blockbuster
Yeah.
type movies.
Right. They blew up a
Yeah, I loved it.
747 for your enjoyment.
And they confuse the fucking hell out of me, man. I try and, feel like I can get a handle on almost every movie we've done.
Yeah.
And this one, it's just like, still don't know. And I don't even care that I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I pretty much feel the same. So yeah, I think we did a pretty good job of not spoiling anything.
Yeah, like I said
Not too
before,
hard to do.
If you don't fully understand it, it's hard to give it away.
Yeah, join the party. But yeah, so a solid recommends from El Toddo and I. Yeah, really, really solid movie making here. But that's all I got. You got anything else to say or to add?
Just an apology to listeners for the parking lot noises coming into my hotel room, the reverse beeps and the people locking their cars, beeping horns. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all good.
But this movie's banger. Definitely
sure.
buy it. Don't even bother renting it. It's the same price to rent it. Just buy it because I'm going to watch this movie a bunch. I'm sure.
For sure. Well, that was episode 52 of the Buff and the Blazer podcast. We just discussed Tenet from Christopher Nolan, and it'll blow your mind. So go out and see it when you
blow
can.
your ass out.
Yeah, it'll hit that brown note, and you won't know what hit you. So, yeah, from us, though, guys, have a great week, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Peace.